Alright, so in this video, we're going to be building the room details page, and this is what we'll be building. So we have this main image with other thumbnail images of that particular room, and the description, some amenities, customer review, and this reservation component. And this reservation component might be on its own video because there are some things I really want to take my time to explain, and I don't want to just quickly build out all this with this video. It's going to feel, number one, it's going to feel overwhelming, and this particular episode will be extremely long because there are some things that goes into this reservation component right here. So we'll focus on this section and this section. Then in the next video, we might talk about this reservation component. So what I will do now is to go to our project. So this is what we're working on. And the first things first is that I want to get the slug or the ID of each of these rooms right here. And if you go to the Astro docs and go to routing, this is what I'm talking about. So basically, we want each of these pages to be dynamic because the contents of these pages are different. And again, I will seriously urge you to be on the Astro docs so that you can read more about this and get a better understanding. But for us to create a dynamic route, what we need to do is to go to our pages directory in our source folder and create a new folder and give it a parameter which is auto in this case. So what we do now is to come right to pages, and I'll create a folder called rooms, or room rather. Then inside the folder I'll create a slug.astro. So now I have the room page and slug.astro. So this slug right here, if you are coming from React, you will understand what this means. But essentially, this means that we can pass in different slug or different ID. I'm talking about that. Let me check if I have that slug right here. Okay, so the slug is here. So now that we have this, what we need to do is to first of all bring in our layout. Say layout, so it should be like so. Make sure we import it, and the title for this will be dynamic, but for now let's just say, let's call this room details. I'll change this in a bit, and let me also add some content inside so that this layout doesn't get pushed away. So say room details. So if I go back to the docs, I don't want to spend too much time here. So essentially, we need to export a get static parts function in order for us to grab the params. In our case is the slug. So what I will do, let me just copy this. I think I'll just copy this and paste it right here. Then essentially I will just return the rooms. So I'll also import the rooms as well. So say import rooms from at lib, and from the constants. Then we can get rid of, let me get rid of all this and rewrite it again. So say rooms.map, and we'll destructure the slug, and I'll put curly braces like so, and we'll return just the slug. And if we go back to the docs, you can see they passed the params here, and they specified a name for each of the dog. In our case now, I will just pass in the params like so. Then I will just return the slug that we typed like so. Then I will just say const, and we say astro dot params, so we can easily grab this log. So if I do console the log now, say slug. So if I open my terminal, I can go back to our project, and if I hover on this, it's still showing Royal Room. So let's go to the luxury rooms. I think that's the page we're currently on, right? Yeah. So go to the room listing. Okay, so I think the path is correct now. So room.slug. So if we hover on it, underneath you can see the Royal Room, and if we click on it, we should get directed to that Royal Room. You can see the slug right here, like so. And if we check our terminal again, you see the Royal Room right here. So we can go back to the slug, the Astro. Let's just check for cases where the slug is not available. So we say if the slug is undefined, then let's throw new error and say slug is required. All right, so now we're currently in the room details page, but we want to grab the room data for that matches the particular slug. And the way we do that is that essentially we want to find if the slug of that room matches the slug that we are currently on. So if the matches, we just display all the data. So we say const room, say rooms dot find, and we'll say room, and we just essentially say room dot slug if it's equals to the slug that has been passed in, like so. And again, we can also still do the same thing. So if the room is undefined, I just say room not found. You can be more creative with this by showing a 404 error page or something. All right, cool. So now we see our room details. So let's just make this dynamic by saying room dot, I think it's room dot name. Save. Now it should give us the room that we opened, which is the Royal Room. Cool. So we can now start structuring this data properly. So I'll get rid of this h1, and I'll bring in a div and give this a class container and give it a padding top of 30. Inside this div, create another div again. For the styling, we'll give it MB of 8 and text should be center. Then we'll bring in the h1, which will be the room.name, and for the class we give it a text of 400, font will be 600, and a margin bottom of 4. Then the next thing, if I save this, check now. Okay, I have the rooms right here. The next thing we want to do is to bring the features. So I guess I don't know why this is always acting like this most times. So I will have to stop my server on my terminal and run dev again. So simply run dev. So I can check back now, and hopefully they shouldn't be stuck at the top. Okay, so it's better. So I don't know if it's a caching issue. I really don't know. So just in case, just always stop your the dev server and start it again. So for the features, bring in another div, and I'll give this a class. This will be flex. Say flex wrap, so that it will wrap when we're mobile. Then items will be center, justify will be center as well. I'll give it a gap of 4. And inside this div, should be in curly braces. So essentially, I'll map over the features. So say room.features map, and for each feature, so let me do this again. Bring in a div and give this a class of flex. items center, justify will be center as well, then gap be 2. Then basically now we want to see if the feature dot icon is equals to bed, because the first one right here is bed. So but I use an hotel icon, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. So if it's bed, then we want to show an hotel icon from Lucid React, and just give it a class name of text primary. So let's check this one out. Okay, so it's right here, as it is right here. Then I'll hold Shift Alt and my down arrow key and duplicate this 2 times. Then if this is ruler, then we'll change this to the ruler icon. And if this is camera, change this to camera. So let's save, and everything should be laid out like so. Then outside this, we'll bring in the p tag and pass the feature name and the feature value. So essentially the feature name will just be feature the name, and the value will be inside the strong tag because it's bold, as you can see. So we say feature the value. So if we check now, the content should come in like so. So later when the data will be coming from Sanity, I'm going to make a little adjustment to this, because the structure might be a little different. So just keep that in mind. So go back to the logs page. I'll make sure under this, close this out. So right here now, bring in another div. So we are on this section right here, and put in another div again to hold the main image. So this will be inside the image component from Astro, and this will have an ID of main image. Give it a class. Height should be inside quotes, so height of let's say 500 pixels, rounded will be large, and object will be cover. Then for the source, that will just be the ROM or image. Then for the auth, be the ROM.name. So let's save and check. All right, now we have the image, the main image, like so. So the essence of us putting this ID is to toggle between or show each of these thumbnail images on this main one. So I'll be using the script tag here. I won't use React for that. So I want to still show you how to bring in the script tag and scope it to just this particular file, which is this log.astro. So under this div right here, we'll have to map over the thumbnails, and we want to also check if the thumbnails length is greater than 0. Essentially, we want to check if there's a thumbnail available before displaying it. Then I don't know why this always happens. Then we'll bring in the div. I give this a class of margin top of 4, flex, items, be center, justify, be center, gap will be 4, overflow we give the X of auto, then padding bottom of 2. Then inside this div, bring in another div again, and this time we'll give this a class. We'll call this one thumbnail item, so we'll hook into this in JavaScript in a bit. Then we'll give this a border of the primary color, size will be 20, cursor will be pointer, overflow will be hidden, give it a little border radius of medium, then border of 2, and a I just get rid of the transition because I don't think is there a transition here. No, there's no transition. Everything is just putting on the fly, so we don't really need the transition. Then we also give this a, let me just put an index right here, and this will be the main. So make sure this is not self-closing. We'll also have closing div here. So right here we'll bring in, let me just copy this like so, paste it here, and the changes we'll make is just to make the height here full, then width will be full, and we don't need an ID. Then for the alt, we can just put backticks here, and you can say room.name, and we just put in the main like so. So each of the thumbnail images will be a bit different. So we just have one right here, and this one right here is essentially the main one. So the main one always shows first. So all these other ones now we just have to map over them and just display them. So under this div, still inside this one, so under this one here, under this we just say rom thumbnails map, I'll map over each thumbnail again, and so say div and this we have a styling of thumbnail item, size of 20 as well, cursor will be pointer, and overflow will be hidden, rounded will be MD. Then we'll add a border of 2, and on hover we want the border to be primary color. Then the same thing, we'll bring in the data in attributes and just say the index should be, this time now the index, I think the index will be the index. So if I save, I will still need to pass in the index right here and put it right here like so. And again, make sure this is not self-closing. So inside this div here, copy this image tag, put it here and leave it. But since this one is the main one, I can just change this to thumbnail, and you can still be more dynamic. You can just say let me just add this right now. So you can say index +1, and for the source we just set it to thumbnail. So if we go back now, you can see we have all the images right here. So cool. So I just used the same images, so yours might be different. So right now we can hover over all these, and this is working, coming in nice. But the issue that we're having now is that when I click on this thumbnail images, it doesn't show right here. So what we'll do is I'll go back to our code, and outside our layout, bring in a script tag. Again, you can do this with React as well. I just decided to do it with the script tag. So inside the script tag, so I will say document.add event listener. So we want to listen when the entire content is loaded, and we'll run this function, anonymous function. And inside this function now, I will create a variable called main image, and I want to get the main image. So say document.get element by d, and this will be, remember we give an ID of main image here, this one. So say main image like so. But you can also use query selector as well, but you just have to add the hash sign. I'll just go with this one like so. Then we also need to hook onto the thumbnail. So we say thumbnails document dot query selector, or because we are targeting more than one, then we say thumbnail item. So we also created the class, as you can see here and as you can see here. So what we just do, say if there is a main image and the thumbnails, the length is greater than 0, then we want to do something. So if we go back, we basically want to store the original main image source. So here's what we do. I'll say original, this can be anything, you can name it anything. Main should be uppercase, source will be the main image, and basically we'll use the get attribute and grab the source. So remember, all these are attributes. Class is an attribute, source is an attribute, alt is also an attribute. So we want to grab the source attribute like so, and we can just see set it to an empty string as well, like this. Then we will grab onto the thumbnails now, and for each of these thumbnail, this will also be inside function like so, and we want to listen for an event listener. So listen for a click event and run an arrow function like so. And what we want to do is that whenever we click on each of these thumbnail, we want to get rid of this primary border right here and just pass it on to the next one that we click on. So we'll say thumbnail dot for each. So I'll just call this t. I don't repeat thumbnail again, so I'll just use t. I'll say t dot class list dot remove. And I was wondering why I was not getting an autocomplete. This should be thumbnails, not thumbnail. So thumbnails like so. So what do we want to remove? We want to remove the border primary. So if I click on this, I think it should be gone now. So let me refresh and do that again. So if I click on this, it's going to leave. Then we want to just add it to the active thumbnail that we just clicked on, which is this one. So what we'll do is that outside this, we say thumbnail dot class list dot add, and I will just add the border primary. So we say primary. So if we check back now and click on this, you can see it's showing like so. But we are not still getting the or seeing the clicked thumbnail images showing here. So I'm going to create a variable called index. Now grab the thumbnail and say get attribute, and essentially I want to get the data index attribute that we created. So where is it at? This one. I also think we created it twice. Yeah, this one as well. So remember that again. Let me just go over it. So we have it here. Data index is main, and data index right here is the index, which is dynamic. So we'll check if the index is equals to the main one. So if it's equals to the main, which is the main image, we'll rather this one, sorry, this one here. We'll grab the main image and set the attribute to this accept a qualified name and a value string. So the qualified name now will be the source, and the value string will not be the original main source, like so. Else we will not get the thumbnail image source. So we'll say const thumbnail image, and this will be thumbnail, the query selector, and tack onto the image. So we'll say if there's a thumbnail image, we'll create another a variable. I'll call this one thumbnail source and set it to the thumbnail image dot get attributes, and we want to get the source like so, else we just pass in an empty string. Then I'll copy this as well, paste it here, and set the source now to the thumbnail source like so. So if we check back now and we click on, let me click this last one, you can see now the last one is coming in. And if you click on this one, it's coming in as well. Cool. So you can see that it's not really that difficult. Essentially, we are just tacking on to these attributes and replacing the source attribute value with whatever the source is from the main image. All right, so we can go back up now and make sure that after this stuff that we did right here, so after this curly bracket, come outside like so and bring in a new div. Now we give this a class of empty 16, middle devices and up, add the display of grid. Again, on middle devices and up, we say grid code should be 2. Then we'll add a gap of 8. There, inside this div, we'll create another div again, and this will essentially hold this guy right here. So all these data right here. So say bring in another div like so, and I'll give this a style of mb8, and inside this div bring in the h3 and pass in the room description like so, and give this class of text 300, font of 600, MB of 4. And did I pass in this? No, this shouldn't be here. So I'll just cut this out. This should be the description, the title. So description, then the p tag should have the room description like so. So if we check now, you should see it like so. Then underneath this div, so the one outside this one, create another one again, and this time be an h3 of the same. So I'll copy this one, but this one should be room amenities. Under this we have a div with a styling of mb8, a grid, and a grid of 2 columns, then a gap of 4. And essentially now we want to just map over each of the amenities, and for each amenity, bring in a div, and for the class add the display of flex, items will be center, and gap will be 4. And we'll be applying the same technique we used right here, so something like this. So I'll just copy this one and I'll paste it here. But this now should be amenity. And if the amenity dot, not amenity, yeah. If it's equals to Wi-Fi, this will be Wi-Fi. Then I will copy this. I think it's 4 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, did we have 1, 2? Yeah, 4. So the next one will be TV. So this will be TV icon. The next one will be AC, which will be the event icon. Then I think this is last one. So this will be coffee, and this will be coffee icon. So if I check the constants file again, I think there are more than that. Yeah, okay. So I think we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So add one more. So say shower, and this will be bath. Then underneath, again, bring in the p tag and pass in the name for each amenity. So save, and let's see. All right. So we have one for room services, which is not showing right here. So I guess we didn't add this one. So after the air conditioning, we need to add one more. So let me just put that here. So I'll call this room service, and this will be for phone. Why is this giving me an error? Okay, I don't think it's imported. So we'll say phone like so, and save. So if we go back now, that should be fixed. All right, and we'll also add the reviews section. So just underneath this, bring in a div, and this will have an h3 that says customer reviews. I think we'll still use the same styling. So just paste this right here, and inside this we'll say be the first to leave a review. I didn't spell review right, by booking a room. So we save. That should appear right here like so. Yeah, we just need to bring in this reservation component for now. So I think it will be here. So say div, and this will be a React component. So let me just go to my component folder and create a reservation .tsx, say rfce, and get rid of this. Save. So bring in the reservation. So reservation, import it. So this normally happens, so do it manually. So say import reservation from add components. So reservation like so. Then of course we want to pass in the room like so, but I'll just leave it like this. I'll just make the add the client property of load, because we'll be performing some client side stuff here, and remember we're still inside an Astro component. So if we check now, we should see the reservation text right here. And if we check on mobile, everything should be working fine. Yeah, so we can toggle between different images. Alright guys, that's it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll be building this reservation component.